All right, so a quick demo here on Payrock's Fluidpay Gateway. This is going to be a very high level and quick run through, but just want to show some of the basic features, just basically how to do a virtual terminal transaction, how to set up a one-time invoice, and how to generate an online payment link for a hosted payment form. So three of the most common things people will do through this, so I'll give you a quick walkthrough. First is the virtual terminal. So a virtual terminal is you just have a card number and you want to go ahead and key it into process. So you'll see that there's a lot here. This has like pretty much all the features turned on the test account, but basically in order to process a card, all you need to do here is enter an amount, card number, expiration, CVV. Come down here, it does require an email and submit the payment. That would be the bare minimum. You do of course want to do things like put the billing zip code on here when you run the transaction, etc. Again, you can customize to have as much of this display or as little as you want. And then the next screen would just allow you to send out that receipt. So that's the basic virtual terminal transaction. Another that people use very often are invoices. So an invoice is when you want to set a specific payable or a specific amount and send it to one specific person and then track that payment. So that would be an invoice. So the system does allow you to create invoices as well. Again, everything is turned on here, but you would just basically set the due date. You would generally want to collect the bill to information. Describe what you're invoicing for. You could do quantity, line item, on this itemized invoice, or if you generate your invoice in another system, sometimes I see people that'll just do a lump sum invoice. Like the item name will be C invoice number 12345, and it'll be a total price for that invoice. That's another way that you can manage it this way. This is payment types. If you have, for instance, ACH enabled on your account, this will allow them to mail in a check. And then you just go ahead and create the invoice from here. And again, you could add some more information. Again, from there, they would receive a link where they could pop open the invoice. Itemized invoice shows them what they're paying for. They click select method of payment and then pay that invoice. So that's generating invoices through the system. And the third option here is the shopping cart option. So you could either use this to create products, or you could use this to do a simple capture form just for invoice payments. So basically, let's say you want to create your invoices in another system, not in here each time. So instead of having to duplicate that invoice, create it in, let's say, QuickBooks, and then create it in the Fluidpay Gateway. What you could do is create a hosted payment form where when you send it out of QuickBooks, let's say, you would just say, to make this, pay this invoice, please go here. And it would be a hosted form, either attached to your website or just hosted, where they would go in and make the payment that way. This way you don't have to generate a second invoice every time. So way to do that, let me see, this one is actually, it says donation, but this is a fairly, pretty much the same idea here. So let's preview this one here. So this is what the hosted payment form looks like. So basically if you went to this email address, or I'm sorry, this URL, this is the payment form. So it exists, you could either make it tied to your website or it could just kind of exist on its own. And when they click this form, they would just, in this case, it says donation, but this could say invoice payment, for instance. Obviously, your logo and stuff here. Select their payment method. You could add the custom fields too. So like, let's say you wanted invoice, it says an invoice payment. You want to prompt for the invoice number, for instance, as well. Or let's say company name or something else that's on here. Actually, company name is optional. They made it required in this form, for instance. So with that, the customer would receive this link. They'd click this, they'd see this, fill out their information, complete purchase, and then you get an email notification that transaction occurred. That aside, there's a lot more in here in terms of reporting, customer vault where you save cards on file, recurring billing, which we haven't even gotten into, a lot in terms of settings and management, etc. But basically just at a very high level, how to do a virtual terminal transaction, how to generate and send an invoice, and how to create a hosted payment form.